My guest this morning is the Dream Interpreter, also known as Ramone Harper. Ramone Harper is a vision interpreter, minister, entrepreneur, mentor, author, and trainer. He is the founder of BNB Consulting and Associates, a management and consulting firm that assists leaders to identify, interpret, and strategically transform their visions into reality. He also serves as executive pastor for Change Church, located in the wonderful state of New Jersey. He is originally from Detroit, Michigan, but currently resides in Hamilton, New Jersey. He is contracted with ministries, small businesses, not-for-profits, and startups in the areas of organizational development, staff, leadership development, and branding. His company also managed various artists, such as comedian Marcus D. Wiley of the Yolanda Adams Morning Show and Stellar Award winner and Grammy-nominated artist James Fortune. And we play James' stuff here on the air. He is a sought-after trainer for leadership conferences, workshops, and seminars such as Kingdom Business Conference with Dr. Myles Munroe, the late Dr. Myles Munroe, and many others. He has been a frequent guest on shows such as TBN's Praise the Lord and Daystar's Celebration. Prior to launching his own business full-time, Ramone was a management and program analyst for the United States Environmental Protection Agency for 7 years, where he won the Paul E. Q Award for Administrative Excellence. He then took on the role of Chief Operations Officer for one of the nation's fastest-growing ministries, Higher Dimension Church, under the leadership of Pastor Terrence H. Johnson, where he helped this startup church grow from 29 members in 1999 to over 12,000 members in multiple locations in less than 7 years. Ramone has over 20 years of strong community partnership building experience, along with excellent leadership, organizational, strategic planning, communication, financial, and project management skills. Ramone earned his BS in public relations with a minor in business administration from Alabama State University and graduated summa cum laude in 1997. In 2001, he graduated at the top of his class from the federal government USDA New Leaders Program. He is currently enrolled at Regents University working on his Master's of Divinity degree. His community service resume is extensive. During his time with the federal government, he was selected as the community relations liaison for the Houston area. His work involved coordinating all outreach activities at local schools and community fairs. He also served on the Houston Federal Executive Board, where he served on the initial planning committee for the Government Procurement Connections, which is now held annually and aimed at helping small businesses learn how to do business with government entities. Ramone is a founding member and serves on the board of directors for a nonprofit organization called Turning Dreams into Realities. TDI is dedicated to assisting people turn their dreams into reality by providing scholarships, mentoring, and professional development. Ramone was awarded the Ebony Men of 2006 award by the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, all right, ski-wee, and included it in the 2013 Houston's Hoo-Hoo and Black Houston publication as one of the city's top entrepreneurs. Most recently, he was honored in 2015 as one of the Houston's top 50 black professionals and entrepreneurs, among other honors, for dedication to excellence. In 2016, he successfully co-authored and published a book entitled It Was All a Dream. If you can dream it, you can make it happen. We Did, which serves as a fundraiser for his nonprofit scholarship program, where 100% of the book proceeds are being donated back to TDI. He's also the author of his first solo publication entitled It Takes Two: Who is Helping You Lead?, which is aimed at helping individuals who serve in executive leadership roles appreciate their contributions to the organization and help senior executives find the right help. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphone, Mr. Ramone Harper. Brother Harper, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I am grateful and I am energized this morning. Happy to be on the line speaking with you, as well as just listening to the gospel music that I was playing in the earlier hour. It actually really did energize me because, you know, when dragging here at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 5:30 in the morning, it can be sometimes like a tiring time. But I get energized. So you're calling out of New Jersey here?
No, actually, I'm calling out of Los Angeles this morning. I'm on the book tour.
Oh, get out!
to
So,
right
wait a
now.
minute. So it's 7:12
So
here. It's
four.
about 4:12.
It's
Okay, so I
4.
don't have to worry about. I don't have to say nothing about being early then, because you're real early.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. out here.
I know that's right. Well, you know what? I always appreciate the guests that call in. Period. But those that call in from like time zones behind us, I really appreciate them, because I'm whining about 6 a.m. and y'all at 3 a.m.
Yes, sir. I'm just pleased to be here, man. Honored that you would have me on, so I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Well, I thank you for it. I tell you, I thank Nikki Wood. She contacted me a couple months ago and asked if I had some slots. I was like, oh, by all means. And anybody Nikki recommend, I'm like, you get first shot at it. So we came up with the dates. And here we are. So, okay, let's roll the tape back into, because I just read this inspiring profile, your biography.
Okay.
And so let's talk a little bit about, where did all of this come from? Where did it begin? I mean, what were you like as a child? How did you work your way up into all these things that I just read in your profile?
Man, unbelievable. As you read, I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and so growing up a Motown baby, actually lived right around the corner from Hitsville, USA, was born across the street from it at Henry Ford Hospital. So just grew up in that era and that background, and so music was always in my blood. Just loved music, went to the shows. My stepfather, he's still a popular disc jockey in Detroit. His name is Foodie Rome, and so just growing up, having him around introduced me to music and concerts and productions. And so I think that's where I kind of got the whole entertainment bug that eventually, as I got older, kind of turned into a management company. And so got exposed to that at an early age and ended up moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to live with my real father. So I finished high school in the Dallas area. And just had entrepreneurship kind of all over me. I think I knew as a kid I would be an entrepreneur. You know, I was the kid when Sam's Club opened, going and buying candy in bulk and going to school and selling it and making a profit. I was the candy man. And so it's just, entrepreneurship has just been in my blood. And so entrepreneurship, music, and so ended up going to college at Alabama State University. And you talked about the nonprofit organization in the first book that I wrote. That was a collaboration of buddies of mine that I met in college, and we're still best of friends today, 25 years later. And so we decided to start a nonprofit organization to help young African American men like ourselves. And so started out by giving scholarships and mentoring college students, and program has grown. Now we have a high school program as well as a college program, and that's just kind of me, and that's kind of my life. And went to school for public relations and communications, and one thing led to another, and here I am today.
I know that's right. My guest that was on 2 weeks ago is from the Detroit area. I don't know if you know him or not. You may. Eddie Connor, Dr. Eddie Connor.
It seems like I've heard that name before.
If you're in that, you probably have, because he's from you all are from the same hometown, and he was singing the praises of Detroit a couple weeks ago as well. And this is Eddie's second time on the show, so I knew him from the first time we met. But yeah, he's been all around in the media world also. So either your paths across, or you, like you said, you've probably heard the name. So that entrepreneurship thing, the young lady I had on last week, and she also was referred to me from Nikki. She was entrepreneur as well, and it seems to be coming out because I was sharing with her. My wife has that entrepreneurial spirit as well. She just hasn't latched onto that thing yet. I mean, one thing about entrepreneurs, you all are willing to try like a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Got to go for it. It's I said it in layman terms. I said it's a hustler spirit. You got to have it or you don't have it.
That's absolutely right. So I see you went to Alabama State University. What was that like? What was that experience like?
Oh, man, the greatest experience in the world. I tell people all the time, and my kids, my daughters now are getting a chance to experience the historically Black college and university experience. So one of my daughters is at Spelman. My other daughter is starting at Hampton.
All right now.
This fall. And so, man, it was just a great experience. growing up in Detroit and then moving from Detroit and finishing high school in the Dallas area, you know, a lot of those schools you don't really learn about your history and your culture, you know, like you should, especially in Dallas. In Detroit, it was different. But once I got to Alabama State, just learning about who I was, and it was more black people than Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And so,
right, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Books, it seemed like that's all they teach us. And so just getting there, man, and learning who I was and learning my culture and being proud of who I was and being around thousands of African-American students. And it was just a great experience. I think, you know, it laid the foundation to who I am today and why I'm so committed to helping young people, helping young African-American males succeed. Yeah, it just laid the foundation, man. I wouldn't change it for the world.
See, again, as I was reading your bio, and I'm going through everything, and I said, see, again, this is another brother that's bucking the myth, or that's bucking the stereotype, because, and it seems like the clock is rolling backwards in the environment that we're in now, but you know, the expectation, unfortunately or sadly, or maybe it isn't, I don't think so, but the expectation is not for an African-American male to be able to do anything, at least of substance, at least legally. I mean, the expectation or the stereotype is for us to always be doing something nefarious or something illegal, but for brothers who are doing something and making something of themselves, that's not supposed to happen. And yet I see you're bucking that trend, and not only bucking it, but also now helping other young men to come through as well with your organization, turning dreams into realities.
Yeah, so, man, I will recommend everybody to go to our site, www.tdi2r.org. And so we started this organization with 11 African-American males. And so on my board of directors, we have 2 doctors. We have about 4 or 5 COOs or CFOs of Fortune 500 companies. You have entrepreneurs, you have authors. And so I tell my team all the time, I was like, yeah, this will never be on the news. You know, they're not looking to tell this story. But, I mean, just out of our pocket alone, you know, we've given away $50,000 in scholarships so far. And this is just through us. And it's just, you know, sadly, you don't tell the stories. And so, like I said, what we do with our college program, as of now, every student who's been a part of our program that has graduated, they're gainfully employed. A few of them are working for our companies. We help kids get internships. We pay for one of our kids to go to China on a foreign exchange trip. You know, every kid when they graduate college, we buy them suits and shoes. And so it's just been great. And now we piloted a program in Talladega, Alabama for high school kids, and we're looking to expand that. And you know, we just believe kids can only be what they see. And so when they see somebody that looks like them doing something, it changes the whole paradigm for them. And so, yeah, we're out here. And so definitely that stigma that's trying to be presented about black men, you know, we're trying to break that mold.
I know that's right. No, this is my 18th season on the air, and one of the things, or beautiful things about the people that I've met and had on the show, and you just made the statement a couple of seconds ago, it's not all about them. The bulk of the people I've had on this show, if not all of them, has always been about making life better for somebody else. Because when you're talking about giving scholarships, you're talking about exchange trips, so forth and so on, that's not necessarily making life better for you. That's making life better for somebody else.
That's right. That's right.
And
that's absolutely it.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for, and that's what it's all about. Because I'm going back into, I see the ministerial background here in terms of did you and I know how bios can be. Are you working on the MDiv now, or do you already have it?
I'm working on that now. You know, it's I tell people, because I am an executive pastor, and that basically means I oversee the day-to-day operations for a ministry. And so, you know, I'm a half entrepreneur, I'm half minister, but I think it's all about helping people. You know, it's about helping people find life and living their best life. And so whatever genre I can do that in, you know, I'm not limited, I'm not boxed into any sector. Someone say, okay, well, he's just in the church world, or he's in the, this person's just secular in the business world. No, I believe it's all God's world. And so, whatever channels I can work through to help people find life and live life more abundantly, that's what I'm here to do.
I know that's right. Now, again, going back to the bio, it starts off, and I read, as a matter of fact, I went through the whole webpage, and I'm looking here, you got the video and everything, the dream interpreter. Then you were talking in terms of, so talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you consider yourself that, or how did you get that reputation, or what's going on? What does that mean?
Yeah, so biblically, there's a character named Joseph, and this character was able to hear the dreams of others and explain to them what they mean and give them practical strategies on how to execute and bring that dream to pass. And so years ago, almost 20 years ago, I just began a soul searching myself and trying to figure out, like, okay, who am I? What's going to be my mark on the world? And so I found that character, and his life just resembled mine so much. And then I've just always been, from a kid, people would have problems, or people would have situations, or people would try to come up with all type of schemes to do just all kind of devilish stuff. And they would come to me and they would be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And I would be able to hear what they were trying to do and give them strategies on how to implement it. So as I matured and became an adult, I just found out I had a gift to do that. And so people, I do that for my clients. And so when I started the management company with James Fortune and Marcus Wiley, they had a vision, they had a dream of what they wanted to do, but just didn't know the practical steps on how to get there. And so I helped them and helped them get to their pinnacle of success. And I worked with other artists and entertainers and leaders and pastors and entrepreneurs. And so a lot of times what I figured out was most visionaries, they see A and they see Z. They don't see the B to the Y.
Right.
So if you see, you have a vision for your radio station, whatever, most times you see the beginning and you see the end. But a lot of times it takes another person, which is a lot of what I'm talking about in this new book, It Takes Two. You need somebody else to come alongside to help you lead and say, okay, well, you got the vision, you got the dream, your name is going to be the one in headlights, but you need somebody to come alongside of you and say, okay, well, let me work on the D through the Y.
Right.
Let me work on the in-between mechanisms and help you bring that vision to pass. And so that's me, and that's who I am. And as I share with my clients and I share with even my pastors I work with, I don't need my name in lights. I don't need to be highlighted. I just want to see it done. I want to see the vision come to pass. And if I can help somebody get to that next level, then I'll be that Joseph, I'll be that dream interpreter. So that's kind of where that came from, and it's been proven. Most people, if you talk to anybody that's worked with me, they'd be like, man, he's a Joseph. You tell him what you're dreaming about, and he can hear it, and he can interpret it, and he can give you a plan on how to execute it.
Well, see, the thing, first off, a couple of things with that. Joseph, I have favorite characters in the Bible. I mean, all of them have their place, and some, for me, are more favorite than others based on their story. And Joseph is certainly one of them because of all the things that he went through because of his dream. Because if you remember, and I love the fact that you're doing almost like a play on words, because Joseph was interpreting dreams, kind of telling them the meaning. And it sounds like what I'm hearing from you is you're not only doing the meaning, you're saying, okay, look, this is what I'm hearing from your dream, and this is how we can make that happen.
Right.
And then one of the reasons Joseph, one of my favorite stories, because he actually got in trouble because of his dreams, and the dreams also took him out of trouble. And
that's right.
And that whole thing, whenever he actually the baker and the other one that he tells him, he said, "No, look, don't forget me whenever you get out."
That's right.
And sure enough, he goes out there, and it's 3, 4, 5 years before he's, that's right. There was this guy when I was in jail. He was a dreamer. Yeah. But that was one of my favorite, that whole thing. And then it ends with what you meant for evil, God meant for good. So exactly what you were saying is exactly, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm kind of like in there, but I know where I would love to take this. Like I said, this is my 18th year, at this studio. I would love to take it like in syndication, or I'd love to get it, like I said, get the name and the lights, this, that, and other. But in terms of how to do it, clueless. And I have a business degree. And so you're absolutely right. There are the visionaries, and then there's the people that can execute.
That's right. That's right. And we need that. And so, the premise of this new book, It Takes Two, Who Is Helping You Lead. I help people kind of sort through, like, what type of help are you? What I saw was, and I've been to probably most leadership conferences and workshops and trainings on leadership, and I'm a big John Maxwell fan, and
right.
all the leadership gurus. And so most books they write leadership from the aspect of you are the senior leader of your organization. And so what I wanted to do, because I've seen that and I've been to pretty much everything and read most of everything, I was like, you know what, there's maybe in the world, there's probably 7 million companies, small businesses, corporations, or whatever, but there's hundreds of millions of people who work for these corporations. And so, and I believe that there are leaders who work for these organizations. So if you are the COO, if you are the CFO, if you are the CAO, if you are the vice principal, if you are the assistant pastor, if you are in whatever arena you want to say, you're a leader, but you're not the number one leader. And so this book talks about how do you lead from the number 2 seat, the number 3 seat, the number 4 seat. And I challenge those leaders to be faithful, and I challenge those leaders to harness their selfish ambition, because a lot of times, you can work for someone else, and then you get to that point where it's like, you know what, I'm smarter than he is. I can start my own business. I can start my own ministry, and you may not be gifted for that. Like you said, you've been running this station for 18 years and have not figured out exactly how to go to syndication. But if I was to jump into that, I probably couldn't even make it last for 18 years. So there's something that you have that other people don't have, and if people work for you, I want to speak to them and tell them, you know what, you can lead and help this radio station become great, and you don't have to be marked with your name and headlights.
Absolutely. It's interesting that we're having this conversation, because I just posted, because in the 6 o'clock hour when I'm putting the music on, I don't have the mic on, so I can post on Facebook and do all kinds of things, and because it's not TV. But I had just posted on there a quote I heard the other day. It said, lots of people want to be the noun without doing the verb. And so you have, it's kind of like the number 2 person, a lot of them that's not their case per se, even though for some it is. And they're not realizing that number 1 seat is not as easy or let me put it this way. If the number 1 seat looks easy, that means whoever's sitting in that number 1 seat is doing a lot of work that the rest can't see. So it's like, if it look easy, it ain't. That's what I'm pretty much grammatically incorrectly saying. But you're absolutely right. If you're in the number 2, if you will, seat, you have to be ready. And if you're smart in that number 2 seat, you'll be learning from the number 1. You'll learn what to do and what not to do. I mean, I've been assistant principal. I've been vice principal before I became principal. And I served under principals that showed me both sides. Okay, if I'm number 1, I'm not doing that. If I'm number 1, I definitely will do that. Right. And so you're absolutely right. But that piece of, just like you said, that whole A to Z, B to Y thing, there are a lot of us in that boat. Okay, I know exactly where I want to go. I'm just not sure of. Let's say, for example, you're talking about a Marcus Wiley. You're talking about Wiley. You're talking about James Fortune. Now, did you meet them when they were in their infancy, before their names got big, or did you meet them as their names were becoming big, and then you helped them propel forward?
I met him before. So Marcus Wiley, I actually convinced him to do comedy. He wasn't doing comedy when I met him. So he's a professor at TSU now, and back then he was working for BET behind the cameras. He was a producer on the production team for a show called Hits from the Streets, and so I knew him, and we would spend a lot of time together, and I thought he was just the most hilarious person in the world. And so I was like, Marcus, you are funny, man. You have to do comedy. And he was like, no, man, because the people I look at, like, the greats, the legends, the Richard Pryor, the Eddie Murphy, you gotta be vulgar, you gotta cuss, you gotta do that, and I just don't feel like I could be successful doing that. And I was like, man, you just funny in who you are. You don't have to be like anyone else. I said, man, you can do this. And so we went around and around, and so eventually I said, you know what? I said, hey, if I can set up a couple of gigs, a couple of shows, and let's try it out. Do the comedy. I'll set up some shows and kind of break you in, and let's see what can happen. And if it goes well, then consider it. And if it goes well, then let me manage you. And he was like, well, if you set up 5 shows, then I'll do it. I'll try it. I'll do it. And man, I set up 10 shows, and then it was on and popping from there. And you know, we started doing comedy. We started, you know, from locally in Houston. And so what happened was I signed him, and I also had a theater company that I was managing. And so it created a platform because we were touring doing theater. And so I would interject Wiley into the show. I would let him do comedy at the intermissions. And so it just worked, and people fell in love with him. And before you know it, we were traveling the country, going city to city doing shows. And then he was getting picked up on big shows. And then, you know, the Yolanda Adams opportunity came. And so, so I got him at the very beginning. Now, James Fortune, he was already singing, but he was locally. And then he had a single that had popped called "You Survived."
Right, that's what I was saying. I play that one on here. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I'll do it during our interview or not. Before the morning is out, I'll play it because we're talking about it.
Yeah, so he had just dropped that single and got picked up by a record label. And as soon as that single started hitting and he started getting booked for travel, he was like, he needed help. And so he saw what I did with Marcus Wiley. So he reached out to me, and we signed him. And so after that, the next album, which is what got us mass appeal, was Transformation.
Right.
I Trust You. And
right.
So I was a part of that, and I Trust You. And then we got the Stellar Awards and the Grammy Awards. And so I was just a part of that journey. So they were both kind of early on in there.
Because see, that's the part to me that fascinates me. And a couple of things, again, going back, because I listen intently as the guest is speaking. When you were talking with Marcus, you saw something in Marcus that he really didn't even see in himself. You said he was behind the camera. And you saw, and this is going back to the dream interpreter thing. Mm-hmm. You saw that in him before he even saw that in him, and then was willing to say, look, I'll book the shows for you. Let's go and we'll do this. That's the part that fascinates me. Same thing with Fortune, with, okay, you know what, we're going to take it to the next level. That fascinates me as to what goes viral when. And my wife and I were just talking about this last night. There was some little girl that did something in honor of Michelle Obama or something. I forget what she did. But the thing went viral. And after that, she was invited on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and Michelle Obama invited her somewhere to travel with her. And we were just saying last night, like, what is that thing that makes something go viral? What is it that made Transformation take off? What is it that made Wiley go from behind the camera to now one of the top comedians?
Yeah. And I believe it's having that too, man. It's having that other person who believes, or that team that believes in you. I just feel like no one can do it alone. No one can do anything by themselves. And so you can be the best radio person in the world, but it's going to take somebody else to come along and say, you know what? I believe in this person. I want to make the connections. I want to introduce him to the next person, or I want to broadcast this. And so I think it's just a matter of, you know, we need other people, and we can't work in silo. And again, that's why I wrote this book, It Takes Two. And I speak about it. Not only am I talking to executive leaders who may serve in different organizations, I'm also talking to the presidents of companies, because I'm trying to help them understand, number one, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
If you do have quality help, you need to appreciate them. Or number three, if you don't, let me teach you what to look for in quality help. And so that's the book. But if you look at all across the world, all great leaders, and this is in my book, I say Michael Jordan never won a championship until Scottie Pippen became great in his own right. Isaiah Thomas, he had Joe Dumars. People talk about Steve Jobs, but I can tell you about Steve Wozniak.
Correct.
He helped him start it. You tell me Bill Gates, I can tell you Paul Allen. You tell me Martin Luther King, I can tell you Bayard Rustin.
Correct.
You tell me Batman, I tell you Robin. You say Long Range, I say Tonto. You say Tom, I say Jerry. You know, so it's just no one can do anything by themselves. It takes two.
And, that is such a good point, and I'll tell you why. Because there are many, and this is where ego gets in here, and this is where there are many that honestly believe they can do it by themselves. Now, see, that's never been my philosophy. I've always been very team-oriented. I mean, I remember when I was in corporate, a lot of times on my evaluations, that's what I'd get hit with, too team-oriented. But I could not agree with you more in terms of no one person can do it by him or herself, nor should they expect to. Right. I'm reading a book by the young lady that's running for governor in Georgia, Stacey Abrams. I think that's her name. And near the end of the book, she gets into that whole thing as well in terms of she's looking for, her team members. She's relying on them to do their expertise. And she doesn't want to get in their way. So if she has somebody that's set up to help her get to the governorship, she's expecting that person to do his or her job. And she talked about that whole notion as well. But you have a lot of people who really think that if they were to fall off the face of the earth tomorrow, the show would stop. And right. The truth of the matter is, no, the show would still go on and somebody else would be in your seat. But you do have those that really get into that, I'm the one that makes everything happen. And if I don't make it happen, it doesn't happen. That's not true. And you're right. I laughed at your list as you went down because I've read all those books as well. And then you get to Batman and Robin. You're right. It's always.
Yeah. And the title of the book comes from, there's a famous song, top 40 song, 1988, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. And they had a song called It Takes Two. And they sampled that song from a James Brown written song by Lynn Collins called Think. And it said, it takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it out of sight.
That's right.
And that's where the title of my book comes from. And I just think, it takes one to dream and to have the ideal of the concept. But as the song says, it takes two to make it out of sight. You may have something great going on, but is it out of sight? And I feel like you need a team. You need to surround yourself with people who can help you make that vision or that company out of sight.
I know that's right. And I'm going to bounce back to your first book that you co-authored. We're going to bounce between the books.
Okay.
So the first one that you co-authored was It Was All a Dream. If you can dream it, you can make it happen. We did. Talk to me a little bit about that one.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazines, Heavy D and Salt, Pepper in the Limousine. So all my books, you will see this, all my books have a musical connotation.
Right.
I'm a hip-hop, old school hip-hop baby. And so that book, It Was All a Dream, is a tribute to Notorious B.I.G. because when we were in college, that's what we were listening to, Notorious B.I.G., Tupac. And so what we decided to do was take that song and make it come to life. And so in each chapter of the book is a story of our lives. And so there's 11 authors of the book. My chapter is called Born Sinner, Opposite of a Winner. And every chapter is a lyric from the song. And we took a piece of the song, a saying from the song that we felt like fit our stories the best. And so Born Sinner, Opposite of a Winner. Remember, I used to eat sardines for dinner. There's so many lyrics in that song. And so all of my partners, they found a piece of that fit them. And so my story, it talks about my story growing up in Detroit, broken home, mother, father, not married, and born up into, gang-infested part of Detroit.
Right.
So I was born into sin. No one thought that I would win, but I got out. Luckily, I was able to move to the Dallas area, and eventually I become, a minister. And so things changed for me, and I made it out, born into sin, but became a winner. And so the book is a tribute to that. And like I said, we wrote it to inspire young people to see that, hey, you can be anything that you want to be. Just as Notorious Big said, nobody believed in him. And he remembered watching Heavy D in the magazine and the limousine. And so that's kind of our story. So it's a story of rags to riches. It's a story that helps young people, whether they're high school, college, young adults, see, you know what, I can be anything I set my mind to be. And so we wrote that book, and we gave the rights of that book to our nonprofit organization. So it's on Amazon, it's at Barnes and Noble, it's wherever you can buy the book. And every time somebody buys that book, it goes into our scholarship fund, and that's how we provide scholarships to these young men.
Is it downloadable as well? Is it on Kindle?
Yes, it's an ebook. It's on Kindle as well.
Oh, it's
yes,
on ebook as well. All right. Well, before the day is out, I will have downloaded that one then, because just about all my guests, I wind up downloading their book if it's in that ebook, because my iPad. I'm kind of like Obama with that. I go nowhere without my iPad.
Yeah, so that's there, and then the new book, It Takes Two, it's on Kindle as well.
Oh, both of them are there. Great. All right.
Yes,
so
sir.
before it's out, and I'm getting ready to travel, I'm getting ready to go see my mom. So whenever I'm on the highway, 'cause my daughter gonna do some driving, I'm gonna I'm gonna read a little bit while I'm riding.
Okay, where's your mom at? Where she live?
She's down in Louisville, Georgia. She's like about 35 miles outside of Augusta, about 2.5 hours from Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice little drive.
Yeah, it's gonna be from New Jersey. It's definitely gonna be a nice little drive. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. But in any event, I mean, in terms of as you're talking with young folks, how receptive are they to the message? Are they getting it, or is it? Because I work with, and I know it's some of it might be demographics. Mm-hmm. I'm in an urban area. And currently I have like a elementary and middle school. And so in terms of sometimes the receptivity of the message, they're not able to connect where they are at the moment to where we're trying to get them to. They have no, like you're talking about dreaming, have no clue of like, okay, the things that we're trying to help you with right now is to help you get somewhere else. I mean, So in terms of receptivity of your message, how is that going when you're talking with young folks?
Man, it has been great. We've been picked up by Boys and Girls Club of America and Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We've done their conferences this last 2 years. And so, man, it's going great, because when we have what we call the Dream Seminar, and that's what we take on the road. And whenever someone books us to speak, we do the Dream Seminar. We come in, and so DREAMS is an acronym for what we feel like helped us become successful. And discipline is D, R is relationships, E is execution, A is attitudes, M is motivation, and S is sacrifice. And so we present it in a way where each of us kind of take a letter and we talk about our stories, and we connect with the young people so they can see we were sitting exactly where you said. We didn't believe. We used to roll our eyes when the old heads would come in and try to talk to us, and the teachers want to tell us about something. But some type of way they hear us and they see, okay, these guys look like us.
Right.
And we can tell they're regular down-to-earth guys, and the stuff that they say, and then it's music infused. And so, man, it's been going great, man.
That's
all over
good.
The country. We do it at colleges, we do it at high school, we do it at middle school, we do it, like I say, with Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Right.
We do it for, man, we've been doing it everywhere, wherever someone would bring us in. And so we come in and we captivate, we get their attention, and we give away gifts throughout the seminar, and we tell them about the program, and man, they engage and they ask questions. And so most of the principals that we talk to, they like, we can't get these kids to pay attention
right.
for 20 minutes, let alone an hour and a half. But you guys have kept their attention. They're engaged. They want to come down and ask us, where do we go to school, and how do we get to where we are in our career? So, man, it's just been good, man. It's been a great ride.
I am sure the hip hop helps a lot. I mean, I'm laughing myself as you come up with some of the hip hop lyrics, because I remember them.
Yeah, it helps, man. But that's a way to connect, with this urban generation. You got to find that common ground.
Right.
So a lot of times it's music, and so once you get them with the music, and a lot of times the seminars, we have music before each person comes out. There's a song, and we'll catch them right where they at it, and just go reel them in.
I know that's right. So, you got two books. We have It Was All a Dream. If you can dream it, you can make it happen. We did. And the latest one is It Takes Two. Who is helping you lead? Is that the one you're on the book tour for?
That's what I am. I'm in Los Angeles now, getting ready today, doing a staff and leadership training. And then tomorrow, I'll be speaking at a church and talking about the book, and they're interviewing me, and I got some media stuff lined up. And so, I'm excited about this book. I'm happy it came out in June, and we hit the number 5 on the Amazon bestsellers list, and in the organizational leadership category. And so, Man, I'm excited. You know, this is my life's work. I've been a two-man. I've been in executive leadership roles, and as I share with people, as I'm going state to state and city to city, you know, everybody can't be the man. Everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan. So people got to be all right with being Scotty. And the thing about it is, Scotty got a ring too.
That's exactly right.
As well.
That's right.
So, yeah, there's no shade on Scotty. You know, he was very valuable, and if you ask Michael Jordan, he's going to give credit to Scotty. And so, if anyone understands that relationship and understands that, then you get the concept of the book, because that's what it's all about.
I know that's right. And see, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm blown away because you're so on point with it. And if more folks would understand that, you'd actually get more things done. If I mean, especially, and I'm going to say this again, going back to the stereotypes and all that kind of stuff, and maybe myths or what have you. But particularly for African Americans, you know, they say, supposedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that we had that crab in the barrel mentality, that as soon as one starts rising up, there's one behind us to pull us back down. If you're going to do what Ramone is talking about, you cannot have that I'm going to pull the number one down so I can be number one spirit.
Yeah, that's now biblically that's called, in the Bible it says do nothing out of selfish ambition, and that is what that is, selfish ambition and vainglory. And so even if, and I talk about it in the book, sometimes you got to know what type of two you are.
Right.
So I explain, you might be the executor, you might be the interpreter, you might be the consultant. There's a book out called The Consigliere, which is in the corporate world. It's talking about C-suite leaders, and it's I did a lot of research on that. But a consigliere is, they take it from the mafia language. And so in Godfather, you had consiglieres, and these were advisors to bosses. They weren't a threat to be a boss because they weren't of the bloodline. But they weren't yes men. They were people who could challenge the boss, and they were ones that would pull the boss to the side and say, hey, I don't think that's a good move. I think you need to watch this person. And so in my book, I talk about these different roles you can play by being alongside, but sometimes you may be the successor. And I think every great leader at a stage in their life, they're thinking of, okay, who can replace me?
Correct.
And so if you allow the ambition and you're trying to take someone's place, or you're trying to take it prematurely, you're going to be kicked out. And I've never seen that work well, because it is true. You reap what you sow. And so if you sow dishonor, you sow disloyalty, you sow disrespect, you stab people in the back, what do you think is going to happen when you get your own company?
Correct.
You're going to experience the same thing.
You know, it's interesting because what I found is, particularly in, again, a youth church, and the various roles, you know, like you have the pastor, you have the deacons, you have the trustees, so on and so on. And you'll have some people that, I mean, they are like literally like, pick me, hands up in the air, pick me. And I'm always kind of suspect on that. I'm always kind of like, okay, because you should have some of these roles. I know whenever I was approached by that years ago, I mean, I had some serious battles on the inside going on. Some serious, I mean, I wanted to say no, but I didn't really have a reason to say no. And then, I mean, it was kind of like, it was some serious back and forth going on with me before I finally made my decision. You have some people that are just standing up there like neon sign red saying, pick me. And for some of these positions, I'm always kind of like, okay, what is going on behind that you want that so bad? I mean, and so I'm always a little suspect, because usually for some of these things, there should be a little bit of reflection, a little bit of, okay, let me think about this. You know what? Wait a minute.
Yeah, you spot on, Mark. And because I work in that capacity, and I work in churches, and I'm amazed. I'm like, yeah, you don't want this. Why do you want this so bad? Like, something's going on that says you want this, because if you understand what comes with this, like your life is not your life. You living in this glass house, the pressure that comes with it. I mean, people are fickle, people change. They love you today, they say crucify you tomorrow.
That's right.
So people who want that and they desire that, I think they're lunatics. Because they really don't understand what's coming for that. And I think I speak about this in my book too, because as an executive leader, one of the qualities I talk about the qualities of an executive leader, the number one quality has to be you have to be healthy.
Right.
And what I see, people who in artistry, people who in church and ministry, they want position because they want power and fame because they had unmet needs as growing up as a child. And so now it's, okay, people are dependent on me. People need me. They're trying to get an unmet need met through the position of a pastor or whatever it is. And whenever you do that, that is dangerous. That is super dangerous because a position, a title can't make you whole. It can't make you healthy. And so I think that's just in leadership, period. I talk about health and mental health and, self-care and making sure that you are in a position, because if you're using a job title or position to scratch some itch that mommy and daddy did not scratch, you're going to be in trouble.
That's absolutely right. That is absolutely 100. And a lot of that is going, and unfortunately in the church, because a lot of times, and since you work in that realm, you'll know there's many that actually think this pastorate or diaconic or any of those positions, they think that's celebrity. And they see that as, they think that's like, back to what we were talking about, the number one, like it's my job to tell everybody else what to do. No. You're in a servant position. Well, and that's the other thing too. As leader, if you're really leading, to be right, for it to be about others and not you, you really are the servant. It's that inverted pyramid. Yeah. And a lot of people don't get that either.
Yeah, and I think, Mark, because I study leadership and I study it so much, I think we can't talk about it, especially in the African American context, without understanding the impacts of what slavery did to us.
Correct.
Because there's things that have just been built in. Like I heard you talk about the crab in the bucket, like the Willie Lynch, that whether that was a real letter or that was just a philosophy, it was real.
Correct.
And so when you strip people from their culture and their identity, what happened was the black church became the only place we can become important.
That's correct. Right on. And I've said that for years. You're right.
Yeah, that has carried on to the day. So, I could be a cotton picker on every day, but when I go to church, I can be a pastor. I can be a deacon. And so now I have this authority that I never had. But, we can talk about it and we can throw stones all day, but we cannot talk about the black church or even just how we do things as African Americans in this culture, because most people will never understand the impact that slave trade and slavery had on us. And it's sad, and we can't use it as an excuse, but you can't ignore that.
I could not agree with you more. Matter of fact, that's well said. That's well put, because that influence was humongous. It is beyond if you didn't experience it or if you're not a part of it. Because I know it's, like I said, the clock is going back. I'm not quite sure yet.
Right.
But if you don't understand those dynamics, a lot of it won't make sense. You're absolutely right. And so I'm with you 1,000,000% there. And I understand that and I get that. And that is driving a lot of what we do get. The residuals of slave people, and I just saw something on Facebook this morning, or a congressman or somebody had said something along the lines about black folks always playing the victim role. Let me see. Matter of fact, I retweeted. Let me see. Hell, here it is right here. GOP congressman said blacks have entitlement mentality and view themselves as victims. See again, right. And so this Republican representative, Jason Lewis, never heard of him, don't know who it is, but in any event, but that was his commentary. But if you don't understand those dynamics, it will cause you to have a different way of thinking. You're absolutely right. So I'm with you there. I understand both sides of it. I understand the dynamics, and I also understand, even those that are further removed. So I could not agree with you more there.
Yeah, and even with, like you said, it seems like if you're going backwards, it's like, I share with people because I work and I minister in very diverse contexts, and I work with not just African Americans and Anglo and Hispanic, and I try to help people understand it's frustrating when people say, well, just get over it. Or that was a long time ago. It's like, you just really don't understand. I think there's a video out that I share with a lot of young people. And there's a video on YouTube called The White Privilege. and they do this exercise where they have all these kids line up on one line as blacks, whites, Hispanics, or whatever, and it's a race. But to win the race, they ask them these questions. And so they say, take a step forward if you grew up with your mom and father in a home, and somebody has to take a step forward. Then they say, take another step if you never had to worry about money. And somebody take a step. And before you know it, by the time he gets halfway through the instructions, most of the African Americans and Hispanics are still at the beginning of the line.
Right.
And the other kids are halfway there. And the guy, that's the white guy he's talking about, he says, all right, now, I'm going to say go and take off. He said, but I want you to look back and see those people are way behind you, not because you're so great or because you're so talented or nothing that you've done. They didn't do anything, but they're back there. And he said, now some of them are going to end up beating you to the finish line, and you're just going to see, like, how fast these people really are. But the fact that you see you got a halfway started, you 3/4 almost at the finish line, and those people did nothing by their choice that made them stay behind. And I just think that's a powerful illustration.
That's absolutely right. So as we are coming down to getting closer to the end, because I'm enjoying the conversation immensely. One of these things that we've been, and I'm going to shift gears a little bit from what we were just talking about, is this, and I've been studying this over the last couple of weeks, and you seem to have it, is this whole notion of being an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that and how even you because that's what it sounds like the book is about in terms of you can still influence from the number 2 or number 3 or number 4 seat.
Absolutely. I think when you are a leader, it doesn't matter what your title is. It doesn't matter what position you sit on the org chart. You lead from where you are. And I think influence is, you hit it on the head. Leadership is all about influence. And so, some people are silent leaders. Some people need a title to lead. And I think anybody who needs a title to lead, they're really not a leader. And you have, and I think I talk about it in the book, you have a limited amount of time if you leading from positional influence. But if you lead from the 3rd chair, the 4th chair, or wherever you are, that's real leadership. That's real influence. So I want people to understand, build influence, build relationship with people, because that's how you become a great leader. That's how you move an organization. You work in teamwork. You work in that team concept. You build relationships. You become loyal. You stay humble. You submit, and I think that's a taboo word. We don't want to hear that. Like, I got to submit to you or submit to your authority. But that word just simply means get under the mission. And so if you have a mission for your radio show and I come work for you, me submitting to you doesn't make me weak. It makes me strong. But I'm saying, you know what? There's a mission that this station is trying to achieve. I get under that for the sake of winning. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It takes people who are helping you lead. The goal is the championship. We want to ring, and it takes a team to make that happen.
I know that's right. And so again, for those in the listening audience, my guest this morning has been Ramone Harper. Now, do they call you Minister Harper or you Reverend Harper, or or you get into any of that? Or
I'm not a title guy.
I kind of figured that.
I'm a pastor, but most people, they meet me and they're like, okay, so do we call you Pastor? I say, call me Ramone.
I kind of figured that. That's why.
Yeah.
And that'll take me on a whole nother discussion about titles, because I'm not a title person either. People ask me all the time, do I intend to pursue a doctorate? I said, I never know. I might, but even if I did, I would not command and demand, and I understand the dynamics of that too, but I would not demand anybody to call me doctor. Like, I would be fine with Mark. I would be fine with, professor. I'd be fine with doctor, whatever, but you don't have to. And I've run into people that has been, I shared this story before. I share it all the time, and I have to laugh because it happened years ago. I was working registration booth at a Christian conference, and it was a young lady that I knew well. And so whenever she came up to the registration table, I said, "Hey, sister such and such, how you doing?" And man, she snapped back at me, "That's minister." and I'm sitting there like, okay, first off, if I addressed you as sister or brother, to me, that means I'm closer to you than your title. But some people get really caught up in those title things. And like you said, my mother didn't name me deacon. My mother didn't name me reverend. My name is Mark or Mr. Miller, whatever. As long as you're not disrespectful.
Right. That's correct.
Right. So yeah, I don't get caught up on that title thing either. I really don't. I would have more, as my pastor can say, I would rather have more do-alleluia than hallelujah.
I like it. Yeah. I like it.
Going back to that noun verb thing again. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of talk, all these titles and all this. In other words, I'm going back to the motive of why you want to be leader to begin with. A lot of people want to be leader because they honestly think that's a dictator. That leader means you do what I say do, when I say do, how I say do, and where I say do, and don't question me. That's not the true definition of leadership.
No, and if we wanted it, for all the people in the church realm who demanding that you call them doc or minister or Reverend, Jesus said you should call anybody teacher. You should call anybody rabbi. You shouldn't call anybody that.
That's right.
He's the only good reverend.
That's right.
He himself, and he served. He gave his life to serve, and so he washed people's feet. So I don't know where this pompous arrogance has come from with these titles, especially in the faith-based world, because he didn't do that, and that's what we're supposed to be following.
That's absolutely right. Well, man, it's been a pleasure. I hate to even say pleasure because it's not even for a pleasure per se. It's been educational. It's been inspiring. I mean, that's another guy. I have a lot of little pet peeves. I'm a little quirky, if you want to call it that. But when people say, I enjoyed that sermon, I'm like, I don't think sermons are necessarily for your enjoyment. I think, it should be a little bit of conviction in there, a little bit of, cajoling some, comforting and so forth. But I guess we don't have the word to really describe it. So even when I work at the school, I tell the teachers, I said, look, do not put on this child's report card or progress report, pleasure to have in my class, because I don't think a parent wants to hear that they sent their child there for your pleasure. So I'm trying to find the word of how to describe this conversation this morning, but it's been outstanding. And I tell my guests this all the time in terms of keeping in touch. And since you're in New Jersey, it'll be really easy. You're in Hamilton, I'm up in Patterson. We definitely have to keep in touch. You might even have to help me get into that B and Y. I don't know.
Hey, man, listen, give me a call, man. Let's connect. That's what I do. And, however I can be of assistance, I would love to do that.
So when you're on your book tour now, because at this point in the show, this is what I do. I turn the mic off and I give you the chance to promote. And you could say anything you want with the exception of a dollar amount, because at that point is once folks get in contact with you, you all can work that out between yourselves. So anything with the exception of a dollar amount, you're free to say your websites, how people can get in touch with you, your book tour, so forth and so on. So I'm going to shut the mic off, and this is your moment to promote.
All right. Well, this is Ramone Harper. I'm the author of It Takes Two, who is helping you lead. You can find the book. You can go get the book on www.ramoneharper.com. You also can find it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, ebook edition, iBooks, wherever you can find books online. You can find this book. I feel like this book is just a needed infusion into the leadership conversation, because so many leadership books talk directly to the CEO or the senior leader, what I call the number one in the organization. And so my book is aimed to talk to the number one, to talk to them about how do you find the right help, how do you appreciate the people who work on your staff. But then it also flips and it talks to those of us who may be a number two, a number three, a number four, the assistant principal, the supervisor, the manager. And so you're not less than. You are number one. As a number five, you're the best number five in that organization. So I want to teach you some things in terms of how to be loyal, how to be healthy, how to manage your family, how to manage the challenges that come with being the second leader in your organization. So go get the book. It's available now. Again, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or just go directly to my website, RamoneHarper.com. You can get the book. You can learn about all the things I have going on, the nonprofit scholarship program, the mission work we're doing in Haiti, just all the different things I have going on. So I just appreciate you. Continue to support this radio show, and Mark, and I just thank you for this opportunity.
Man, I thank you for rising early and super early, because if you were here in New Jersey, if you were home, we'd be, it's 8 o'clock here, but it was 7 o'clock when you joined, but you're out in LA, so it was 4 o'clock. And so out there, when I get guests from LA, I always ask them, all right, which is it? Did you kind of like not go to bed, or did you like go to bed real early and get up early?
Listen, I was struggling with, do I go to bed, or if I go to bed, am I gonna miss the alarm clock? So I was sleep with one eye open. But now I'm getting ready to go to bed.
I know. I was going to say, go ahead and get some rest before the tour.
Yes,
I wish you the best, and I do record the show. And whenever I get it edited and all that kind of stuff, I'll send you the link. I'll send you an MP3 link, and I'll also send you the YouTube, because I've archived them on my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
And once you get that,
everywhere.
Exactly, you do what you want with it. All right.
Okay.
All right, man. Go get some rest. Thank you, and tell Nikki I said hello.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, that wraps up another edition of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley, and that was Ramone Harper.